Did you know that 1 billion women globally are menopausal at any given time? That's 15 million women in the UK and 75 million in the US. Yet until recently, the retail industry has largely overlooked this audience. That's all about to change. In this next episode of Brand Growth Heroes podcast, we dive into a groundbreaking movement that's reshaping the way brands and retailers support women in menopause. GenM is the menopause partner for brands and retailers, and it's leading the charge with its MTick accreditation, a universal shopping symbol helping women to find products proven to support their menopause journey. And it's not just talk. GenM has already brought in some of the world's biggest brands and retailers on board, including Tesco, Boots, Sainsbury's, Unilever, Procter Gamble and QVC. This is really retail transformation in action. In March, Tesco will introduce the first ever permanent menopause-friendly aisle in 94 stores. And within 18 months, every major UK retailer is expected to have a dedicated menopause category covering health, beauty, wellness, apparel, nutrition, and even home goods. But how do we make sure that brands aren't just menopause washing, slapping a label on a product without real benefits? Well, GenM has a really strict accreditation process, which was originally built in collaboration with Boots' technical team. We all know how strict they are when it comes to the technical side of products. And this ensures that every product meets scientific and clinical standards before it receives the MTick. Today, I'm joined by Heather Jackson, the unstoppable force behind GenM. We'll talk about how she convinced top retailers and brands to take menopause seriously, why menopause-friendly shopping is a forever category, not a trend, the commercial opportunity for brands that get it right, and how science and credibility are key to building consumer trust. So if you're a founder, a brand leader or a retailer, this episode is an absolute must-listen. The menopause market isn't niche, it's 20% of your customer base, and it's finally getting the visibility it deserves. Welcome to Brand Growth Heroes. Let's dive in. Heather Jackson, founder of GenM. Welcome to Brand Growth Heroes. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing really well, absolutely really well. And the world's buzzing about menopause. Menopause is now, it's moments now, but actually there's some great things happening to actually help women live their best menopause, not just for now, but for generations to come. So I couldn't be in a better world at this moment in time.
Absolutely, and no better person. We've been getting to know each other now for a little while, and I cannot believe the traction you guys are having, or you girls are having at such a high level. Tell us, first of all, what is happening in March of this year in Tesco? Because I think that will set the scene for everybody listening, just how big a change and a shift and a mindset and a way of shopping this is going to be going forward.
Well, in March, Tesco bring out the first permanent menopause-friendly aisles into their supermarkets, into 94 of them to start with, rolling out there as they go along. We've got every retailer, every big grocery, apart from 3 at this moment in time, but three to come in very soon, and working with us on understanding this audience better and recognising that the retailer and the brands have a role to play in helping serve the menopause better. And actually this is what women want, they need, they want better signposting. They don't want a supermarket or a retailer to cure menopause. They want the retailer to give them signposting to a better lived experience.
So what's it going to look like? What does this actually mean in reality?
But in reality, a consumer, whether they're online or in store, can walk down an aisle, and I say men and women, teenagers and everybody else, walk down and see products that could support, ease or relieve the person that they love or the person themselves menopause experience, and actually help them from supplements right through to climate control bedding, right the way through to beauty and healthcare. Because again, the menopause impacts every part of retail sectors, but there's 48 signs of menopause, and every retailer and every brand can actually help signpost in a better way to a woman about the products they've got.
Why not just leave it as is though? And I'm playing devil's advocate here on purpose, because I'm sure there's lots of people listening out here thinking, or do we really need to brand something else up and, conceptualize something that women have been doing for hundreds of thousands of years? Talk to us about how this has been underrepresented. And you mentioned slippers and marathons earlier, which I thought was very funny.
I mean, there's two elements to this. You wouldn't enter a marathon in a pair of slippers with your dressing gown on straight off your settee without any training and having just eaten a pizza for breakfast. You just wouldn't do it. So why are we letting women enter the biggest marathon of their lives, their menopause, so woefully unprepared emotionally, physically and mentally? Now, our GenM research shows right now in 2025 that only 5% of women feel confident in their menopause and only 2% feel like they're thriving. Thriving is a big ask when actually we're at the highest level of our careers, whether we're working in a supermarket or working at the top of a FTSE 100 company. We've got our biggest friendship groups. This should be the time in our lives when we're swinging from a chandelier and owning our lives and actually thriving in it. Women thrive, the world thrive. So actually to get stats that show only 2% of women are thriving in this period, of which they are menopausal, is quite a stark fact that we've all got a societal role to play on. Not just brands and retailers, educationally, schools, medics, but we can't ignore brands and retailers who have the biggest reach consumer-wise and colleague-wise to make impact. And you know, in the world you've lived, Fiona, that actual marketing and comms plays a big part of this. We need to take the fear out of menopause and allow women the opportunity to thrive. And that can't just come with just putting products on a shelf.
But so talk to us about how you do that, because my fear around this has always been that, you know, brands are going to be throwing stuff at me no matter what phase of my life I'm in, but particularly coming into menopause before I met you, just because they can. They're going to, you know, I'm going to have the Unilevers and the Procters and everyone selling me menopause stuff because it's just a great new way of accessing a new need state and making money. And I could probably just buy the standard product and it would be fine. Why are certain products better for people in menopause, and why should we signpost that? And how do you guys help?
Well, firstly, why would you use any product in menopause? Well, actually, many women don't use any products, and that's why they're not thriving. 85% of women will say my menopause isn't that bad. Now, not that bad suggests it could be better for them. And I don't want any woman having a not bad experience. I want them to aspire to a vibrant, thriving one. So back to the product side, you know, that you can say, well, why can't I carry on using my same face cream that I've used all my life? Well, actually, your pigments and your hormones change. You get drying skin, you might get itchy skin.
Cracked corners in your mouth. Can I just tell all the young people out there who might be listening to this, I'm only 48. I'm going to be 49 this month. Since I have gone through menopause, which chemically is because of my cancer treatment, I basically just overnight went into it because chemo kills everything, all of your ovaries and all the rest of it. All my skin is so dry that even the corners of my mouth start cracking when I talk. I mean, how ridiculous is that? Nobody ever told me that just because I was going to have dry skin, it wasn't just a question of having dry, wrinkly skin, but it's a question of the skin on my fingers breaking when I'm doing the washing up.
My heels on my feet.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely. But again, you don't have to have that dry skin. You can have moisturisers that actually have the right ingredients in for you to reinvigorate that skin. But actually, they could have worked on you when you were 30 as well, possibly.
Yeah. Tell us about the hair.
We both got short hair, but I love my hair short now, but I lost mine out just taking hold of my menopause. I didn't realise my thinning hair was due to my perimenopausal tendencies. And you know, you talked about your skin going dry and dull and it just doesn't have that glow. Well, my hair was the same. It was falling out too. And it just felt, no matter how much I blow dried it, it just had no bouffant or energy. Do you know what I mean? You'd spend hours on a Friday night getting ready to go out and you'd look the same as you'd done before you'd even started getting ready. Do you know what I mean? That feeling. And so I went to the hairdresser and chopped all my hair off. And I love it short now, but I am angry at myself that I didn't know enough about perimenopause. Didn't know that this was something that I could get solutions for, and it was my scalp that was unhealthy, not my hair, and all these different things. And so I am happy with my hair short, but I am angry with myself that I took the choice away from myself. Okay. And so again, understanding the 48 signs that you might be experiencing, from brittle nails to thinning hair to, you know, these aren't going to actually make your years. They're not going to debilitate you so you can't go into work. But actually, as a person, as a you, little things, it's like building up. And so we do need to take control of some of these things, because we don't have to take ourselves to rock bottom before we start getting better.
Yeah.
You know, and actually you wouldn't run a car and let your fuel go out, because you'd end up with the drains and the grogs in the petrol tank, and it wouldn't do your engine any good. Why are women taking themselves to rock bottom rather than working out what's happening and can they sort some of those solutions out? And this isn't about HRT or not to HRT, but only 14% of women in the country are taking HRT or can take HRT. 86% are looking to natural or complementary solutions to their HRT. And back to cancer, we'll talk about that in the labelling in the future, because I've got several friends, unfortunately, who've been through cancer and had that early menopause. And when I'm out with them, and it used to upset me that shopping, you were turning everything over to check whether you could have it, eat it, take it, put it on your skin or whatever. You've fought cancer, you're not going to take a risk on putting something in your body or on it that's going to have a risk. And yet everything used to say, go and see your consultant. And actually, your consultant didn't necessarily know whether you could take it or not. So the answer is, oh, just don't take it. Whereas GenM, with our labelling, we are working closely over the next 18 months to ensure that our brands that we're working with will put on whether you can or cannot take it if you're in menopausal cancer, and it will do the same if you're in HRT.
Wow, so you're being brave. I'm thrilled to introduce Brand Growth Hero's newest partner, Jolson. Jolson is a leading B Corp certified commercial law firm that specialises in guiding the founders of scaling CPG brands. With long-term relationships with clients like Little Moons, Trip, Eat Natural, Bear, Graze and Pulson, Jolson is also famous for advising the Innocent founders in their landmark sale to Coca-Cola. And believe it or not, they still work with the Innocent founders at Jam Jar Investments today. I'm especially impressed by how Jolson sets founders up for long-term success and by their commitment to championing female founders. Recently, I asked one of Jolson's managing partners, Phil Hale-Smith, to talk to us about how Jolson supports female founders on their scaling journey.
We're fortunate to have worked with loads of female founders who've had some very successful businesses, raised huge amounts of capital, and are happy to give back. And that's part of what we're trying to do in terms of running a regular program that supports them both here in the office, but also enabling them to actually access getting VC financing.
If you'd like to find out more about Jolson's female founder club, Hercules, why not go to their website www.jolsonlaw.com or send a quick email to hello@jolsonlaw.com. Huge thanks to Brand Growth Heroes podcast sponsors, Jolson. Now let's get back to the show. Talk to us about how you actually work then with brands, because particularly again, and what I'm trying to do is almost lean into anyone out there who is kind of going, this is brilliant, it's exciting and it's an amazing part of the category to be in, but is it not just, the St. Valentine's Day-ization of something else new? And we were talking earlier and I really started to understand why it isn't. What do you guys do with your certification to make sure that if I buy bedding with the GenM tick on it, it's not just because the producer has decided that it's going to be cooler sleeping. It's actually that it is cooler sleeping because you've got a technical department that's looking at that. So
we have a gentleman in our team called Simon, and he takes every accreditation process through. And actually, he's absolutely scientifically on this.
Right, that's his background.
Completely and absolutely. And so he will take them through the process of proving the scientific and medical, credible or clinical information that we need or technology we need. And the brand has to take full responsibility of showing us. So if it was a supplement, they'd have to show us that if they were saying this is for sleep, this will help you with sleep. Poor sleep is a sign of menopause. That actually, it hasn't just got a small amount of magnesium in or whatever it might be. It's got the right amount of magnesium in the right quantity and the right quality, because it's too easy in this world at the moment to label things as this can help you with your sleep, but actually the ingredient has got diddly squat in it to make a difference.
Okay.
And so we are fundamentally against the snake oils and everything. Meno washing is what we're protecting the world from. We're about menopowering. We do believe that we need to build this category well, but we need to build it with respect and trust.
I love it.
So that the woman and the men can shop with trust and confidence, and actually, yes, find products that they might not have considered, but they could be game changing. Now, someone said to me the other day, how come that Colgate Total is going to be taking on the MTick? What's Colgate and teeth got to do with menopause? Well, if you remember, Fiona, in the UK, we're very privileged that when we're pregnant, we get free dentistry because of the hormones changing our gums, and actually we will have receding gums and everything else. So we get free dentist treatment whilst we're pregnant. But actually the same change will be happening to your gums in menopause with the hormones changing, and there's no free dentistry. And how many of your friends, when you're talking to them now, will probably be having a cap that they've never had in their life, but the dentist's saying you need a cap? And this is all because we're not taking oral hygiene strong enough in this period of time. So again, it's not just about signposting and giving confidence, it's actually about raising the awareness of menopause and the signs and symptoms, because right now most women can only name 5 signs of menopause and there's 48. So how can we encourage women to have a better thrived experience if you don't even know what you're experiencing?
That's a really good product to use as an explainer, actually. And I think this is where, for me, I still don't understand it clearly enough. Because surely all toothpastes are going to help all people keep their gums healthy. So why would one particular toothpaste?
All skin creams are about keeping your skincare healthy.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
have certain ingredients that can actually go deeper or give you more elasticity. So again, we've really worked hard on any of the products you can find out why they've got the MTick from.
Right.
I am not the accreditor here.
I think this is great. So what we're actually saying is that your accreditation will have to tick like something to do with the fact that maybe there's something specific about what happens to the body or the face or whatever during menopause.
It has to call out that symptom that is calling out and saying it supports and why, and they have to have the valid evidence. And it can't just be through the marketing, because again, the ASA, you'll have seen in the brand and retail world, the ASA recently have been pulling up a lot of brands for going just across the line on how they market to women, especially in menopause. And actually, any brand in our collection I have to say, and I'm proud of every brand in our collection, no one's been pulled up by the ASA on their menopausal advertising and marketing, but should one do it, they will risk losing their MTick. Because we have to bring a vibrancy and a trust to menopause.
Oh, you totally do. Because when you explained earlier that you said, you're actually trying to protect the world from menowashing. So we know if we see the MTick, we know they've been through the accreditation and they are part of an organisation or partnership that is credible and upstanding and all of those things. I think that's a really great explanation.
Brands also, they're not just about getting the MTick. They sign up to become a partner of GenM that actually says they commit to understand, support and serve menopause better.
Okay.
So whether it's in the workplace or out with a colleague, that they have to show that they're committed to being part of our organisation, not just being able to get the MTick if they pass the accreditation on their SKU, of that particular one, but also they've got to go out and do so much more. So like in October, it's World Menopause Month. We created an incredible campaign for them, which was called Live Your Best Menopause. And it gave 8 messages out there, from erotic to unapologetic to energetic to athletic, authentic, all different messages that are not associated with menopause. Because you think of the words that are used at the moment with menopause, erotic or unapologetic, authentic, vibrant, they're not words that you think about. And so we took over London, we did the Metro front covers, we took over Leicester Square, and all our brands had this as their post that they were sending out on World Menopause Day with their own messages on to give a vibrancy to menopause. So again, this collective, it's so much more than just an MTick. It'll drive real change to the change and drive also purposeful commercial profitability as well. But let's be honest, Fiona, brands and retailers, they have to be all about profitability, but profitability with purposefulness is a win-win for everybody. And this, by understanding this audience better, a 20% market share, as I said earlier, that is actually, you look at how 3% market share has been driven of a vegan audience and supported and understand over the last 40 years. Let's be honest, you and I are old enough to remember when veganism started. It was very taboo, animal rights and punk, and actually it was like, whoa, are we ready for this? Now it's vibrant, it's inclusive, you don't think about it, and that's a life choice. When yet 20% of the market share, you and me included, were being ignored, overlooked and underserved by brands who actually 20% of women at any one time, 1 billion globally, 75 million in the USA, 15 million women in the UK are menopausal at any one time in the UK.
So for those women going into Tesco in March, or the 90 Tesco stores in March, or going into Boots where it's signposted currently, it's cross-category with Wobblers, isn't it, rather than... Talk to us what the world's going to look like. And I know where you'd like it to go because you explained with the further future. But in the meantime, with, say, space being given, because I'm thinking about if I'm a founder and I'm trying to understand Tesco strategy, Sainsbury's, Ocada's strategy, and they're all, reducing space on shelf to allow growth to new categories, and they're reorganising the way they put, for example, plant-based protein and meat protein together, for example. They're also giving space in store and space on shelf to menopause products. Talk to us what that's going to look like in 18 months' time.
Well, in 18 months' time, you'll see the biggest retailers in the UK have a menopause specific category section. So whether it usually starts in health, beauty and wellness, and that takes you over your supplements, your nutrients and your body creams, your beauty, and it takes you right through health, beauty and wellness. So you'll see absolutely incredibly there, from your Boots to your Sainsbury's to your Morrison's to indeed your Tesco's. So you'll see that happen. Matalan and QVC, we can talk about those in a moment. But not only are they now moving from health, beauty and wellness, they're recognising that in-store online, 75% of of women are self-diagnosing and looking to the internet to find products that can help them have a better lived experience. So you can understand now that online is just as exciting and important for the woman and the retailer as in store. So you will actually see, you'll start on the health, beauty and wellness. It won't be long now before drop ship and, you're taking supplements for sleep. Maybe if you're in menopause, you might want to look at getting better night's sleep through your night, start saving yourself, getting up in the middle of the night, changing sheets, going on Instagram, look at the bedding. So they'll start to bring it across categories, because it's not going to be long before all retailers they recognise now that menopause impacts every category of retail, from fem care to supplements to clothing to apparel to exercise to food. There's not one head of retail category that can't do more for its menopausal woman. But it's not about creating menopause-specific products. They want to live a life. They're happy to have menopause-friendly products, outfits that the daughter can wear in the gym, but they can wear also that can wicker and stop the smells and all those things that you get. This is about accommodating a symbol that will allow women to shop with confidence across all sectors. So in the future, you'll have an aisle in health, beauty and wellness, but in the 18 months to 2 years in the UK, you'll have every retail sector of the brands that we're working with putting MTick signage throughout their stores on products that have been passed by us as acceptable as menopause friendly in the past.
So it sounds like Simon's going to need a team of teams.
Simon's growing a team already, but equally, do you know what? We're growing a team as well, because we set out as two co-founders, and now I'm the CEO. My co-founder's having the best life she's ever had in Portugal, and I'm not envious at all, but that was the choice. And we're in that world where we should be swinging from a chandelier, and she wanted to go with her husband to live there. So, but again, what's really exciting now is the team's growing. It's not just about having more people to do the MTick. It's actually about building better relationships with the big retailers, because what they didn't want was a problem. We didn't go picketing to them saying, this is terrible how you don't serve women. We're underserved, we're overlooked, bring it on, come on, we're going to stand there. We went with them with a problem, but we gave them a solution, and the solution was the MTick and to work with us on this. So every brand and retailer, all the retailers we're working with need that support from GenM to make them think differently all the time on this and not let it fade away. Menopause has a moment now, but for retail it's a forever category, it's a forever market, and actually it's not about yours and my generation, it's about our daughter's generation.
Just to inspire some of the people who are potentially not as far on in their careers as we are lucky to be. You spoke about, you weren't picketing outside the supermarket saying, serve us better. You actually went to the top. What kind of meetings have you had with the top of retailers?
We had some absolutely incredible ones, because the MTick was started in COVID, and I had no connections to retail at all. So through LinkedIn and through my connections from my previous businesses, I managed to get a couple of calls. And one of the best ones was with Boots in Helen Jeremiah at the time, part of the marketing team. And when you've got a meeting, and anyone with brands and startups and everything will know how excited you are when you've got a big brand in. And I'm hearing this background noise, and I thought, that's an indicator going, oh my God, she's in the car. And I'd prepared this whole presentation. Anyway, so I'm talking away about what we wanted to do. And within 6 minutes, she'd pulled up on the side of the lay-by and said, I need to continue this call, but completely were in. Marks and Spencer's in the original days, they came straight in as well, because they could see what we were trying to do, that actually we took on the biggest brands and said, you have a role to play here. And for any startup and young person, never think that you have to be fully prepared. My biggest meeting in Boots was once we'd got them on board to understand, support and serve better, and we didn't know how they were going to do it, but we knew that they were committing to it. I went in on an A4 piece of paper and just drew an MTick, our symbol that I'd got in my head, and said, this is what I think will revolutionise menopause retail and the lives of women. But actually, I'm not capable of doing this. You have got all the teams there to build the accreditation. So we didn't create the MTick accreditation. Boots, legal, pharmacists and medicals all created it. And then they tested it on 150 products in 1,000 stores. And then we took it out to other partners. So in just under 2.5 years now, we've got 120 of the biggest and most powerful and progressive challenger and disruptor brands on board, because it has to go on the products as well.
Are you allowed to say that Boots created the accreditation?
Yes, because they worked with us on it. They absolutely agreed that we got an idea. They'd thought about how could they market menopause and how could they give it some branding. They saw what we wanted to do and actually give it to everybody.
God, you know what I'd be doing? You said earlier that you hate seeing problems and not able to unsee them, but I'm like that with ideas sometimes,
Yeah.
which I'm always throwing out random ideas to people. So apologies in advance.
No.
But listeners will know I do this. I think I'd be saying accredited by GenM, and then I'd be saying something like, a craft or criteria crafted by the technical experts at Boots.
What's been really great with Pete Markey and the team at Boots has been actually they recognised that no one brand alone was going to change real change, but we give them credibility, but they don't want to take that whole.
But like maybe the UK's created by the UK's most experienced.
It's one of the most trusted brands in the world, isn't it?
That's what it is.
But equally, they knew that for us to be able to go to Holland and Barrett or to Sainsbury's, whilst it had got Boots on it, it was never going to work.
But maybe it's just, created by the most experienced technical team, one of the most experienced technical teams in the world. Because I think you're underplaying that. Like if I'd known that from the very beginning, I'd be going, oh, it isn't just, Heather and her mates sitting down creating the criteria. It's like, I know that Boots Science, even if I didn't know the word Boots, the fact that it was, anyway, you know what I'm saying?
No, and you know what? We've moved so fast and it's been such a roller coaster.
I know.
Like I expect, because we've been on the world stages, we're at World Retail Congress and we'll talk about Boots there, and we're at Retail Live and we took the first aisle and Pete Markey was on the stage with us. Most retailers know where it started.
I didn't.
And I apologise, that's my bag.
But that's okay. Isn't this sometimes about collaboration? Like as a woman in her menopause, right? I would love that because now I'm going to go after everything with the tick, a GenM tick on it.
Well, again, Boots, you can go on their Menopause Health Hub now and it's the most visited pages of their health hub, and you can search the MTick on Boots online. It's a lot easier to disrupt brands online digitally than it is bricks and mortar, but you've got to have both.
So this is a revolution. It's a change in the way we're thinking about this phase of life, underserved. I really liked it because I was asking you the question earlier on before we started recording. I was saying, can we not just keep going as is? I'm fine. And you were like, but it's not about just being fine. And I've sort of made that shift in my head now. And it's not about selling more products to people who don't need them. It's about pointing out products that can really make a difference to their specific kind of biological changes or psychological changes or behavioural changes that happen when you're in that stage of life.
It's about normalising the conversation and bringing it into society. I don't just see menopausal women walking down a Tesco aisle or a Sainsbury or a Boots aisle. I see men, I see young women as well. And actually, if we can actually break those barriers and we can have a man looking at the site and going, oh my God, these are some products here that I should take home, because one of my pictures with Marks and Spencer, and I know he wouldn't mind me talking about it, I won't mention his name, but we were on a pitch with them about the merchandise and everything else, and he came off a call and said, I am so embarrassed, Heather, he said, because my partner has had the most horrible night sweats, and I've gone into the spare room to give her a better night's sleep, and I give her some flowers and chocolates at a weekend because I want to know I'm feeling about it. He said, but never once did I think about giving her some climate-controlled bedding. And he sent me another note 3 weeks later saying it was a game changer. She burst into tears when I gave her the products because I'd actually thought about something. We're back in the same bed and we're now actually on a journey together to help her live her best menopause, me too. And at the end of the day, you see all these journalists being cynical about, oh, you can buy some menopause pajamas. No, you can't buy menopause pajamas. You can buy climate controlled pajamas that will support you in a menopause. Let's not get facetious about this, because if it's got the right technology, it can be game changing. If you've had a good night's sleep, you wake up, you feel better, you won't have a donut, you'll eat something healthy, you'll go to work and you'll feel better. Do you know what I mean? It's about making today better than yesterday. And so I do agree we've got to protect this market, but I can't do with the people out there who are just cynically saying this is about making money.
But I think that's why it's so important that everybody knows just how incredibly serious the certification and all of those criteria and who invented them. And I think that's just so invaluable in terms of what you're trying to do.
Well, 94% of women from our 4,000 credible research we did in 2024 want a menopause-friendly label symbol now. They're not afraid of it, they want it.
Yeah.
And equally, we have to follow these stats now. And actually, we did all the research and then we've done the research now on, because it was in Morrison's, but I mean, you can still go into Morrison's. It's still a trial with them, so we can't call them the first permanent island, because Tesco did their trial and now it's into permanent. But Morrison's and Kantar worked with us on it. And the results that Morrison's have got from actually supporting that audience better on the upsell of understanding the product. So yes, there is an opportunity to upsell, but it's upselling the right products for that woman. And actually, you know and I know, we get to this age, we're not going to be marketed and manipulated and exploited. We know what we want to buy and what we don't want to buy. Don't make us out to be victims here. We're actually sensible, savvy women in the majority of the world that we can make our own decisions, but give us the choices to make those right decisions.
Yeah, and actually, it might be a silly example, but I have actually bought 3 or 4 different hand creams recently, like pocket-sized hand creams to have in various rooms of the house. And this sounds ridiculous. I never thought even 7 years ago I'd even be bothering about this. But different rooms of the house, one in the car, one in the bathroom, one beside when I'm watching TV, to try and stop the cracking in my hands. And none of them really work. There's only one that works.
Well, I'll come off this call and I'll send you some links to some brands that really have got some incredible ingredients for skin.
If I've actually imagined how much money I've spent on all those different hand creams and none of them really work, except for I bought something from Marks and Spencer's last week, which was Pry. Is that the name of the brand?
Yeah. Now they've done a lot.
The sleep balm, the sleep cream, unbelievable. I have one little pot in the car, even for my hands, incredible. That makes a difference to the skin.
You see, once you've tried something that has got the right ingredients, you can see why you've got it. But then equally, I don't want people saying, oh, and it's just because it's got menopause on it, it's stuck the price up. I'm imploring brands that have to put a higher price on their product to actually cry out why it's got a higher product. It's got more quality ingredients in and better quality. Don't just stick the word menopause on it and hope that no one's going to notice. We can't afford this backlash, and the majority of brands out there, well, all the brands in our GenM collective, some of them might be more expensive than their counterpart, but actually they can prove why they're more expensive because of the ingredients. But equally, menopause has to be inclusive and accessible to all. It can't just feel, as many of our research came through last year, that women were starting to feel it was very white, middle class and celebrity.
Totally.
It has to be more inclusive. It's got to be more accessible. That's why with our MTick, even if it's at the bottom end of the cost price, it still has to have the right amount of the ingredients. And you can't just, because it's cheaper, spin it off as menopausal. So again, and we've had a couple of brands that have had to go back with their scientists and add more in before they could get it, and that's a good thing.
Talk to us very quickly before we wrap up about the brands who have partnered with you so far.
We've got the retailers we've got included from, as we've said, Tesco, Boots, Morrison's, Sainsbury's, Matalan, QVC. We've got all those on board now, but we've also got we've got brands ranging right from your Dove and your Shows, from your Unilevers, right through to your Procter Gamble's, right through to incredible disruptive brands like Wooker, like Made of More, like Ameliorate and Espar. They're doing some incredible products. So again, we're moving right across from Simba and their bedding, their climate control bedding, to Benson for Bed and some of the products that they have. Now, they can't put it on all their products. They can only put it on the products that have got the technicality in it. But again, working with the biggest grocers now, we will be taking it into food and nutrition, because we've already got the dry nutrition, people like Linwood's on board, and, with their incredible quality control of the ingredients that they put in their menolinias and things like this. But it should go into supermarket shopping. We should have better signposting for eat well and eat more of this. We need to encourage that.
And I can imagine the amount of recruitment you must be doing for partnership managers.
It's doing all right at the moment, but again, I'd rather have a small team of great people than a big team of actually just, we've got people impassioned with the right skills delivering, and the relationship we have at the executive level and the team and the category heads in all these retailers is game changing as well, because they're excited about this. No retailer is going, oh my God, I've got to think about menopause. They're going, oh my God, why haven't we thought about menopause better before? And equally, it's not just about the products. It's your experience when you're walking around that store. Why hide things in dark depths Peru when you know the woman's overtired, sleep deprived, possibly got brain fog and is anxious? Why would you do that to her? So it really is making them think.
I am so glad we chatted today. I totally understand it now. I don't think I really understood it before. I kind of got it but didn't really get it, and then I was slightly uncomfortable about it, and the whole thing just felt, I felt very torn in two directions. Now I understand.
It's about making today better than yesterday. That's all it's about.
The fact that companies like Unilever, Procter Gamble, Tesco, Boots are on board with you means that it is all done in the right way, and it is technically sound and partnership sound, and I think it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Well done.
No, well, if you're any brands listening here who are with any of the brands we're working with on the listings, but they're in, say, the supplement aisle and they didn't know about the menopause aisle, apply to tell them that you want to be considered for the menopause aisle as well. And obviously they'll put you through the MTick accreditation, but equally you can double sit at the moment in
You can
retail.
double placement. So who do they talk to? Their own buyer?
The buyer that they talk to at the Tesco's or whoever it might be. Or come straight out to us at www.gen-m.com, because we have a Meet the Buyer Day quite often. So we bring all the brands together as well. So it's a collaboration. No brand alone can change the world of retail menopause, but together we can, and together we can do it with respect and commerciality and drive societal change. So there's no losers in this. So please get in touch.
Unbelievable, Heather. Fair play. You're really creating something enormous. Not many people can say that they have changed the way supermarkets look and are shopped physically, online, across categories, across segments, what products look like. It's absolutely humongous. So well done you. I'm seriously impressed.
When you've got a passion, you've got a purpose, and you're persistent, results happen. They really do.
Passion, purpose and persistent. Lovely to see you.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye.
What an amazing conversation. I have to admit, over the past few years, I did wonder whether menopause-friendly branding was just another way for businesses to capitalise on a new consumer need state. Was this just another marketing ploy? Would we start seeing menopause-washed products with little real benefit? But now, after talking to Heather, I really get it. What Heather and the team at GenM are trying to build and are building isn't just a marketing campaign, it's an accreditation system with real integrity. Brands don't just slap an M on their packaging and call it menopause friendly. They have to prove with real scientific backing that their products actually help women with the biological, physiological and lifestyle changes that menopause brings. No snake oil, no menopause washing, just real solutions. And when I hear that Boots medical and science teams were involved in setting the accreditation standards at the beginning, this tells me that it's something serious. It's not just Heather and a few colleagues setting the rules. This is about real consumer protection, trust and impact. So I can't help but wonder what's next for GenM. Could we see GenM evolving into something even more rigorous, in the future as it evolves like any founder-led business, like a B Corp level certification for menopause-friendly brands, which I'm sure is what they're doing. And I'm sure with that will come deeper third-party validation and global standards that retailers worldwide will align with. Because if menopause is a forever category, and it absolutely is, then GenM has this chance, because they've created the category, to become a gold standard in consumer trust. And I know that that's what they're doing, and I really take my hats off to them. This is the beginning of something much bigger. So if you're a founder, a brand leader, a retailer, I'd love to know your thoughts. What role should businesses play in supporting women through the menopause? And how can brands go beyond the tick to truly make an impact? A huge thank you to you, Heather, and the entire GenM team for leading this charge. You're changing the way we shop, think and talk about the menopause. And thank you for listening to Brand Growth Heroes. See you next time.